So the second project that we're doing here in Moora, which is becoming our main focus, is we are making a video piece, a two-screen video work that's predominantly about animals moving through the landscape. And David and I have been travelling around and finding various situations where we can film large herds of animals that are sort of coming across the hill, moving across, making various shapes in the landscape.
So it's looking at the parallels of animal dynamics and movements and how they correspond to our crowd dynamics, but also the shapes and flows and the energies of groupings of animals in natural spaces.
One really great aspect of being here is that you tend to focus on the project that you're working on. Normally back in Melbourne, we're working on a diversity of projects. We're always working on 4 or 5 projects at various stages. So you're doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But here, there is Moora, and we're always driving through Moora and the environs and looking for opportunities to go and film. And meeting people and talking to a lot of people in the community and finding out who are the people that run sheepdogs, who are the people that run cattle, who are the people that work with animals in an interesting way.
We were able to put out quite a few feelers into the community to try and find the right people to talk to, and because we had our first project was about the cemetery, we actually spoke to historical societies and various organisations concerned with that, but it meant that we actually made contact with a lot of people who are the movers and shakers in the community anyway, and a lot of them are farmers, and we soon kind of, I guess, established what we wanted to do and conveyed that in terms of both projects to people, and we were able to get referred to people, and he used to talk to such and such about this, and we were assisted also by Penny Aitken here, who was an on-the-ground assistant for IASCA, and that was extremely helpful as well.
Here we have Darren Brown, who runs a farm just north of Moora, and we have met up with Darren quite a few times now. First time we had beautiful weather and great conditions, second time it was really blowy. And then we had to come back a third time, so we've sort of seen each other quite a bit. But we were interested in Darren because Darren has a very specific program that he does with his sheepdogs. And Darren, it'd be good if you could tell us a little bit.
Well, virtually all I do with my dogs is I create livestock behavioural changes that are profitable for farmers, create more money, less dust in wool, quieter sheep, quieter cattle, and all of that. And the best way I find to do that is with controlled herding dogs, and this is them.
I also find it really interesting once you've herded the animals, and it's generally a group of Brahman cattle to a certain position, and then you call the dogs off. Often the cattle will just stay there because they're happy just to stay there. They're not frightened, and they're not flustered by being rounded up by the dogs.
That's right. They become soft and pliable in the mind. They are, they're open to change and new things. And we say with the dogs and the livestock, they have to go through chaos to get to clarity. And that's what we're doing with the dogs, creating chaos. And then out of that comes clarity, where an animal is content to just stay where you put it, where you've left it, in the right frame of mind. Those cattle, if they weren't in the frame of mind, would have run back to the other side of the paddock. So it's just making livestock content and happy in being where they are.
What was interesting too was being able to spend time with some of the farmers, some of the people who do work with cattle and sheep and or grain.
One of the farmers said the herd is like a bubble, and she was saying that what you're trying to do to control the herd is you're trying to control this bubble sort of moving across the landscape, and the bubble's going to burst at any possible opportunity. It might burst this way or that way. And filming it has that similar feeling. Like you just never know. You've got to anticipate what might happen, but it's always something interesting that happens. And if it's not interesting, it will be interesting in a few moments' time.